Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Honor to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. My utmost respect to the perfectly enlightened Samma Sambuddha, the noble doctrine of the Buddha, and the noble Mahasangha, the disciples of the Buddha. Hello everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A session. Today we are also going to help you discuss with you some questions on Buddhism. So if you have any questions, please be ready and you can post them on the chat. To begin with, we will start with a short guided meditation, and I think that will give you an ample time to think of a good question on Buddhism so we can continue our discussion meaningfully. All right, just a short meditation to keep yourself more calm and collected today. So please close your eyes gently and compassionately. Straighten your back and your head. Relax your body and relax your mind. Scan yourself from top of the head to the tip of the toes, all the way slowly, gently, and compassionately, sending loving kindness to yourself, to each and every single cell of your body, each and every internal and external bodily organs of your body, sending loving kindness for the well-being and happiness and good health. And also think of all the wonderful people who are with us today, right here, right now, and also who will be watching us later, and all your near and dear ones, and all the friends of Dhamma USA community, all the family members, friends and relatives of all of them. Please think of all your loved ones, near and dear ones. All the family members, friends and relatives, teachers and elders, all the well-wishers and all the benefactors. Think of their well-being and happiness and good health. Also extend your loving kindness to any of the neutral ones that you know of, but you are not so close to them. Think of one such a person at least, and send loving kindness to that person for the well-being and happiness and good health of that particular person, and all the other neutral ones in general as well. Now please think of another important character again. If you have any unfriendly person right now at present, or if you had such a person in the past, in your childhood days, whosoever was angry with you, upset with you, mad with you, who was insulting you, hurting you, hating you, disliking you, think of one such a person. Maybe someone, if that person bullied you when you were young, think of one such a person if you had in the past, or if you have at present. Send loving kindness to that person as well. Think of that person's good health, happiness, well being, and all the other unfriendly persons in general. And think of all the sentient beings in the world and beyond, seen and unseen, near and far, short and long, strong and weak, humans and non-humans, skybound, earthbound, waterbound, all sentient beings. Think of their well-being and happiness and good health. May they all be well, happy, and healthy. May they all be well, happy, and healthy. May they all be well and happy and healthy. Thinking thus, please take a good long deep breath and hold it for a few seconds. And then slowly release and relax. Now gently and compassionately open your eyes, sending with a good positive energy towards yourself and towards everyone else. All right. Wish you a very, very wonderful, happy, and peaceful day today with long life and good health. Let us see if we have some questions. Yeah, I can see a question here. Jojo has a question. Can you expound on Papanca? That's a really good question. Papanca is something what we call proliferation. It's a wonderful Pali word. Also, it's very much connected to the karmic conditions. The derivation is not very clear. It is something like to spread out or proliferate, or we can say an illusion or an obsession, an obstacle or impediment. These are some of the definitions in English. So, for example, when we were meditating, what did you see when you close your eyes? What did you see? What experience did you have? So, something that you need to think of. Is it an illusion or an obsession? I will explain this thing in detail in a later date. We have another question from Julie. Do you plan on returning to Empty Cloud this summer? Yes. Yes. I will definitely come. I had a discussion with Venerable Suddha, so he actually asked me to come earlier. I had some things here and I promised to him come after Vesak. So after Vesak, I'll be in New Jersey. Yeah. Hope we can have a retreat by then. So one question here that I got from Tulani, she actually emailed me. Can you explain more about Buddhist ethics? I think this is an area that many of us can benefit from learning more about. Buddhist ethics is directly related to Sila, and Sila is the very foundation of our spiritual path. We call Tisikka in Pali and Siksha in Sanskrit. And I do have a really good book, this book in Sinhala, but I also have the English book, what we call Path of Purification by Venerable Jnana Moli. He should be the one who translated this into English. This book is quite voluminous, and also it gives a lot of information about Sila. And then we also have in the Pali canons, if you want, the Brahmajala Sutta, for example. Diga Nikaya Brahmajala Sutta, it talks about the Chula Sila, Majjhima Sila, and Mahasila. So Chula Sila is the smaller, minor precepts. And then Majjhima Sila is the mid-length precepts. And then Mahasila are the longer or the greater precepts. For example, in Bhikkhu Patimokkha, the code of conduct for Buddhist monks, we have 227 silas or precepts. And there we can see Chula Sila, Majjhima Sila, and Mahasila as well. For example, the Sakyas, there are 75 Sakya rules. They are all Chula Sila. And there are some other smaller, little minor precepts in that Patimokkha. And 4 Parajikas are definitely Mahasila. We probably can say even Sanghadisesas, 13 Sanghadisesas, they could be in between, either Mahasila or Majjhima Sila. And many of the other silas can be categorized as Chula Sila. Somehow the monks have, it is said, like millions of silas. They have to be always very careful. Apart from these 227, everything about the body, the mind, and the word, we have to be careful. And how we can continue to maintain good moral conduct is important. So the Vinaya Pitaka, for example, is completely dedicated to Sila, ethics. Vinaya Pitaka has a really long history. If we think of the Buddha's time, during the first 20 years in the Buddha Sasana, it is said all the monks were very, very powerful, very, very dedicated, and very passionate about practicing the true essence of the Buddha Dhamma. And most of them were Arahanta monks, and there were almost none who have been deviated from the true path. So it's really important to see the first 20 years of the Buddha Sasana as a very pure form of Bodhisanga. And the Buddha didn't have to impose any code of conduct for them. They already were very disciplined, and they were not reaching anything for the Buddha to impose any new rule or something. But then in the course of time, when the monks became very popular, the Buddha Sasana became more and more popular, there were so many other people with different motives. They also joined the Buddha Sasana. And then they were not necessarily following the Vinaya. They started to breach some of those conducts. And some of the things they did were not really helpful for their Nibbanic way. And therefore, the Buddha had to impose some rules for the well-being and happiness or the benefit of the Sangha Sasana. And sometimes when it happens, Venerable Sariputta even asked the Buddha to set up some rules in advance. But the Buddha said, no, we can do it. It is not the Buddha's way. So the Adikammika, or the one who originally did something wrong, some mistake, will be exempted from the offense. So that person will not be punished. That's a very wonderful democratic way, I guess. So the Buddha had always exempted the one who had first done the mistake or the offense. Those other monks who followed, they would be penalized. Penalized in the sense there were different ways of penalizing the monks. Like if you break any parajika, then you don't deserve to be a monk. If you break Sangha Disesa, you still can have some way to recover. And the other rules, Pachitya, Patidesaniya, Sekya, and all these things, Nisagya Pachitya, all these things are actually could be also recovered from those offenses by undergoing certain probationary punishments. That's very interesting, actually, the way Buddha was dealing with these things. Vinaya started like that. And then the lay people also have rules. They also have sila. For example, 5 precepts is a must for the lay people. Although it looks like less in number, but they can be related to most of those silas, most of those practices. They are very profound in nature, actually. Like if you say, Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami, to abstain from killing living beings, when you say killing living beings, so you cannot kill anyone, not any human, not any sentient beings. When you talk about that, on the one hand, you avoid killing, and on the other hand, you practice loving kindness. So they are two sides of the same coin. Practicing loving kindness can be very profound, and not killing any sentient beings, including poisonous snakes or life-threatening wild animals, or even bugs like mosquitoes or something. We cannot kill. We cannot take others' lives. So first precept is a very profound one if you take it seriously. Second one is not taking things that belong to other people, not stealing, taking things not given. That is why actually the Upasampada monks, the higher ordained monks, they don't take things if they are not offered. So they are very concerned about that, not taking things. Adinna, like taking things not given. Adinna dana. So lay people, they also have to be very careful in following these precepts. So like not to steal one on the other, and then also practicing kind of generosity also can be a part of it. And then the third precept is sexual misconduct, how to respect other people's family, so how you can in return be respected by the world. It's again an important practice. Also very healthy, very respectable family life you can live when you practice the third precept. And the fourth precept is Musavada Veramani, that is taking care of your verbal misdeeds, like not only telling lies, but also hurting others, slandering, harsh words, and then also frivolous speech or gossips. The fifth precept is taking intoxicating drinks and drugs that cause heedlessness. Again, very, very important practice. They look like 5 in number, but they are very much connected to the 10 precepts, the other precepts as well. So lay people have 5 precepts. That's a really important practice. And then you can expand it to 8 precepts or 10 precepts. Eventually, the anagarika also. If you say anagarika, that's also kind of a homeless person. The meaning is actually homeless, but that also is a person who practices celibacy. We do have these profound practices in the Sila. If we talk about these Silas in actually Brahmajala Sutta, like Chula Sila, Majjhima Sila, Mahasila, they are very minor precepts. Chula Sila, when we say. I think I have mentioned this earlier also. Anumattesu vajjesu bhayadassave sikkata sikkhapadesu. How someone restrain or maintain some discipline in oneself by practicing, even avoiding those very, very minor offenses, minor mistakes in our life. You can think of such things. Like they may not be very offensive, maybe as a civil law, it might not be a criminal law, but ethically, that can be detrimental to peaceful coexistence of our society. Maybe it can damage peaceful or harmonious family life. Those things you can think of some etiquettes, for example. They can also be part of the ethics. In your office, you have some bylaws to follow. They cannot necessarily be penalized by the government, but you might be in trouble if you don't follow those codes of conduct at your office. And when you board an airplane or when you board a bus, public transport, you also have to obey certain ethics, certain bylaws. And if you are a part of some group or some community, if you go to a temple, different temples, different communities, you also have to obey their rules. Even if you go to a shopping mall, there are some bylaws we need to follow. So we can really do whatever you want. They can also be part of that, the ethics, because they are helpful for a peaceful, sustainable coexistence of that community. Having said that, basically these silas should make yourself a happy person, a healthy person in many different ways. And when you are bodily and verbally restrained yourself, then you can actually go forward, progress in your spiritual path, so that you can have a better concentration, better samadhi, and eventually you can have better wisdom. You can generate wisdom. Okay? So I think that should be about the ethical side. Okay, we have another question from Julie. Dear Venerable, can you discuss the power of making determinations? Yeah, I think it's a good question, very good question, I would say, because we have some hindrances in our path, in our mundane, daily, regular activities. We also have thinamidda, right? Sloth and torpor. Bodily, you don't feel like energetic. You don't want to make any effort. So you feel like sleeping all the time. Maybe you don't want to work hard. You don't want to be determined or make some extra effort. Then you cannot go forward. You cannot succeed in your career. You can't accomplish your goals in whatever you do, in your job, in your office, even in your personal life. You need to make some effort. You need to be determined. So in Buddhism, we do have something called paramita. 10 paramitas are there. Out of those 10 paramitas, we have two, what we call virya paramita and aditthana paramita. Virya is making effort. Aditthana is determination. So these are paramitas, because without making effort, we really can't go forward. We just can maybe live like a simple average person sometimes. But if you want to make something different in your life, even in your sansaric life, if you want to make something special, you definitely need to fulfill these paramitas. Let us say, like the virya in Noble Eightfold Path, we call samma vayama, right effort. What are those right efforts? Right efforts can be fourfold. Right effort is explained in Satya Vibhanga Sutta. Right effort is explained as there is the case where a monk generates desire, endeavors, activates persistence, upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of the non arising of evil, unskillful qualities that have not yet arisen. You don't have such unwholesome activities or desires or something within you already. Do not let them come into you. Do not let them arise in you. That is the first effort. The second effort, according to Samma Vayama, it is said in Sangyutta Nikaya, he generates desire, endeavors, activates persistence, upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of the abandonment of evil, unskillful qualities that have arisen. So you already have some unwholesome qualities in you. You already have some mistakes in you. You can see that I have this problem. I can't wake up early. I feel all the time very laid back. I am not really working hard enough. I'm not reading books, or I'm not listening to other people. I'm not listening to Dhamma talks, or maybe I'm not really respectful enough to elders. You can see like what negative qualities you have. So if you have some negative qualities, unwholesome qualities within you, you have to make an effort to get rid of them. Okay, the first one is you don't have some negative qualities and you don't let them come into yourself. Second is you have already some negative qualities and you try to make an effort to get out of them, get rid of them. So you need to make some effort. Then he generates desire, endeavors, activates persistence, upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of the arising of skillful qualities that have not yet arisen. So, same as the unskillful qualities that you don't have, and you also don't have some skillful qualities like some positive qualities. You don't have them, but you see among your friends, you see them, they have those wonderful qualities, and then you need to inculcate, you need to cultivate, you need to develop them in you. That is the third vayama or effort. Fourth effort is he generates desire, endeavors, activates persistence, upholds and exerts his intent for the maintenance, non-confusion, increase for the development, culmination of skillful qualities that have arisen. So let us say like you have some very wonderful, maybe you are very kind, maybe you are very generous. You have some good qualities. You don't want to gossip. You don't like it. You don't want to be a part of such things. And then don't be complacent with that. Okay, I have this wonderful quality in me, and you don't want to generate ego on that, but you continue to improve, increase, more further develop, expand that wonderful, wholesome quality. Okay, so it's about abandoning the unskillful and developing the skillful. That is about the Samma Vayama. And then the Aditthana is making some determination. How to make a determination? You really have to make some determination. So there is a wonderful sutta how we can, make some effort or determine ourselves. It's very much part of the virya also, effort also, but determining is even more. In the Satipatthana Sutta, for example, the Buddha mentioned Atapi Sampajano Satima. Atapi is you need to have that determination within you, like to get rid of the defilements. I want to get rid of my unwholesome qualities. In many ways, we can actually think of working on our determination. The sutta that I mentioned before was Vitakka Santana Sutta. So in Vitakka Santana Sutta, the Buddha also mentioned about certain ways how to get rid of our unskillful thoughts, desire, aversion, or delusion. So when these things happen to us, a monk has to make some effort and be determined. And there are wonderful ways that the Buddha has explained here in this sutta. You can take a look. I will actually share with you the link. You can read this sutta, really wonderful sutta. If you like, you can also, as a part of the learning, you can email me the summary of this sutta. All right. So this sutta also gives certain techniques how to get rid of some of those defilements within you. And I was talking about Satipatthana Sutta. The Buddha gives one word, atapi. Atapi means diligent. You have to be diligent. You have to be satima, mindful. This should be integral part of our determination. Every time you want to like meditate or you want to do some secular activities or whatever, you need to be determined. Let us say you sit for half an hour, you want to meditate. So when you sit, before sitting, you have to make an effort. You need to be determined. I am not going to shake my body. I will be unmoved no matter what. I will not be deviant from my meditation object no matter what. So I have to be determined. Remember the Buddha, immediately before the Buddha heard enlightenment, it is said he was sitting under the Bodhi tree. He was sitting with what we call fourfold determination. He thought to himself, no matter what happens to me, I'm not going to get out of this meditation, even at the cost of my life. I'm not going to get out of this meditation until I attain the final liberation, Nibbana, or the Buddhahood. He already had some signs of that achievement, accomplishment. So he went for that. It's really a very powerful determination by the Buddha. Even at the cost of his life, he would not wake up from that meditation. He thought to himself. There are many occasions where the Buddha was very determined. During the penances, if you remember, he worked so hard. Not a normal person would do such a thing like the Bodhisattva or the ascetic Gautama did. He was not eating. He had pavatta palabhojana. He had only fruit what falling from the trees or something. He went into that extremes. He would even run away from the people because he did not want to have people coming to him and helping him or taking care of him. He was running away from such things. And then it is said, Appanaka jhana, that is, he would even stop breathing. He went into such extremes with so much determination, so much diligence. Why did he do that? For you and I. He did that for us. He wanted to attain the Nibbana, final liberation, Buddhahood. Eventually, he noticed that it's not going to work. That is why he turned to middle path or Majjhima Patipada, Madhyama Pratipada. And only then he was able to attain the Buddhahood. And that is the story of the Buddha's amazing, most powerful determination, Aditthana. So Virya and Aditthana are some of the really, really powerful practices by the Buddha. Let me suggest to you, okay, you can be determined one whole week, okay, until we meet next time. Next Wednesday, let me know whether you get angry or not. You can make a chart and write down and something like here. You can write down the whole week. If you got angry, just mark, okay, today I got angry. How many times you got angry? You can mark maybe with some dots. Okay, I got angry 3 times today. You can write down. If you don't have any dots, if your day is spotless, that would be so wonderful. So let us see how many of you can do that. Okay, as a practice, determine yourself. You don't get angry. Especially you don't say something to others. So don't use harsh words until next Wednesday. And don't get angry until next Wednesday. Let us see how many of you can do it. And with your kids, maybe, with your co-workers, maybe, with your family members, maybe, with yourself, maybe, you should not get angry. Try not to get angry. Determine yourself. Aditthana. Okay? Okay, that will be a good practical exercise for you. And also, please read the Vitakka Santana Sutta and send me the summary of that. And let us see how many of you have read the sutta and understood what the Buddha said in that sutta. Okay. All right. Any other question? If not, I will go to Tulani's questions. Okay. You can see it's a really long one. I would like to clarify one small detail in regard to an important date of the Buddha's timeline. Was the Buddha born in 623 BC or 563 BC? In some books from Sri Lanka, it mentions 623 BC, but in some books in the US library, I recently read that some authors mention 563 BC. Okay, I got it. Over here, what's important about this question is the date of the Buddha. In Pali Canon, we have very few details about the Buddha's real lifetime. We can find some information about the Buddha in Vinaya Pitaka, Mahavagga Pali. That gives some explanations about the Buddha. And apart from that, I would like to also recommend 2500 Years of Buddhism by P.V. Bapat. Actually, there is an ebook as well. This was a book that I was reading long time ago. And apart from that, I would also say the date of the historical Shakyamuni Buddha by A.K. Narayan. So this book also can be a very important book for you. I remember one of my professors in Delhi University, his PhD thesis was about the date of the Buddha. K.T.S. Sarao, date of the Buddha. You might take a look at his thesis. And I remember I attended some of his lectures on this subject. This book, The Date of the Buddha, Buddha's Mahaparinirvana by Sonam Marup. This book can be very helpful because it is the Mahaparinibbana. From that calculation, we go back to the date of the Buddha. Because we know Buddha attained enlightenment at the age of 35, and then he was teaching for 45 years afterwards, and then he passed away at the age of 80. So if we know the date of his parinibbana or the passing away, we can actually get back to the birth year. The dating of the historical Buddha, this is a German author, Heinz Beckett. So this book is also helpful. This book is Bhikkhu Ñāṇamoli, The Life of the Buddha According to the Pali Canon. This book is a very helpful book. You probably can read this book. This is hopefully in Google Books, so you can take a look at that book. This book also gives more idea about the date of the Buddha. So in this, we can actually see the parinibbana of the Buddha. Most of the books, they talk about the parinibbana, and from there they calculate. So please take a look. Hopefully, I will also try more information later on. Remember in Lumbini, where the Buddha was born, Prince Siddhartha was born, there is an inscription, Ashokan inscription, written in Brahmi script. It is said, Hida Buddha Jate Sakya Muni. That means here the Shakyamuni Buddha was born. So this is the oldest physical record that we have, we can say. King Ashoka's inscription, really an important evidence that Buddha was a human. He was not an invisible thing or a celestial being, but he was a human. He was a historic person, historic man. And Hida Buddha Jate Sakyamuni. The Sakyamuni Buddha was born here, and UNESCO officially declared Lumbini as a World Heritage Site. Okay, that's about the Buddha's life. I hope it was helpful to you. And I think with that, we can also conclude if you don't have any more questions, as we have run out of time. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. Hope to see you again with another Q&A session like this in the coming week. With that, we conclude today, and thank you everyone for joining us, and may you all be well, happy, healthy. Sukhe Digayuko Bhava. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.